Hey everybody, welcome to the video. So I wanted to title this video Unbreakable, Train Your Grit Muscle Every Day. The reason for that is that I'm seeing both with relationships and in the gym that every single day you have opportunities to make your bed, eat healthy, go to the gym, end conflict with your partner, self-reflect on something. There's all these like millions of little hard things that we can do every single day. And if we take the time to reflect on those, I believe that, to me, it's a muscle that gets trained. And the better you get at it, the stronger you get. Story time. I was in the middle of this conflict and I was realizing that I was upset, hurt, and triggered. I realized that I had trained a muscle of mine to look at other people, and I think I got this from Mel Robbins, but this lens of looking at people through a lens where they are just an 8-year-old to a 12-year-old, something like that. I mean, if you've ever looked at your parents in this way and been like, what if I just looked at my mom or dad as a wounded 8-year-old child or a 10-year-old child, something like that. You can kind of, and if you know kids that age, you might actually be able to see similarities. What I realized in that moment is that I had trained my brain after hundreds of hours of looking at relationships, professional or romantic or otherwise, through this lens and trying to look at who's on the inside, and that a lot of times people never evolve past their hurt 10-year-old self. In their moments of their most vulnerable, that's when they revert back to who they were as a hurt child. And I think I had got to a point finally where I had done that enough for other people that I could do it for myself. So when I was feeling hurt and triggered and upset, all of a sudden I realized that it reminded me of something in my childhood. And it wasn't even that related, but just as an example, having, if you had a mom that stayed home and a dad that went to work, and then maybe dad comes home in a reasonable, good mood every day, but then every so often he comes home in a very, very bad mood. As kids, I guess a lot of times we end up internalizing that, and then we start intellectualizing, try to dissect it and break it down, like why is dad upset? Why is he mad? Is it my fault? Because I guess most kids think it's their fault. So unless you're a parent that takes the time to explain to your child that it's not their fault, they might internalize that. What I ended up doing was realizing that in that moment, I was acting like I was trying to figure out what was wrong. And it's so ridiculous, because you can have the friend, coworker, or partner explaining to you logically, well, this is what I saw, so that's why I acted that way. And you can be such in your hurt child energy that you don't even believe them. You can just hear what they say and actually just like, no, just keep asking questions. Be like, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. When really it should be good enough. You're trying to look for that one wound, that one answer that will fill that void, that wound. The logical answer doesn't always cater to the hurt child energy that you have inside you. Actually, Mel Robbins had a great quote about this, talking about how, like, what is emotion? And in her book, I think this is the Let Them theory, the Let Them book, that emotion is about a 6-second chemical explosion in your brain of just brain chemicals. It's like 6 seconds of brain chemicals. So if you can wait past that and then calm yourself, just don't react for like 90 seconds, the chemicals actually resolve and subside. And I thought that was really powerful, because it gave you the control that you need in an emotional situation. And if you can wait for those chemicals to resolve, then you can flex that muscle to become more self-reflective. And I just love the idea of being emotionally, like an emotional rock in your family. And so this whole unbreakable, train your grit muscle every day kind of thing is something that I keep in mind. Whether or not I'm listening to a podcast or watching YouTube or keeping people around me that are always like moving the needle forward. And if I see others training their muscles, there's obviously a need to go to the gym and strength train every day in some way. Even if you're just going to train calves, it's so important to show up. And I think we often forget, especially if we're busy with side gigs and our main job and parenting and all of that stuff, taking care of loved ones, that we don't have moments to self-reflect and look at all of the hard things that we're doing every single day, so that when we get into conflict, we can take a moment to look through that lens and ask ourselves if we're acting like, are we in our hurt child energy? And I think it's okay, rather than having a bunch of filler words when you're angry with your partner or whatever's going on and you're fighting just for the sake of fighting, to pause and take a couple of minutes and examine the situation more clinically than anything else. I find that that's been very helpful, and that's been a muscle that I didn't know that I was training when I was looking at individuals professionally or romantically, and figuring out why they're acting a certain way, parents specifically, and wondering what perspective are they, how could they say that, do this, act like that, take those actions, what lens are they viewing this situation with? So anyway, that's my book recommendation, is The Let Them Theory. I know Mel Robbins is doing some really, really great stuff for the past 5 to 10 years, and you guys should check out the Let Them Theory book. It's pretty good. But anyway, that's kind of the message for today. There's been a lot of stuff that I want to talk about on YouTube, and I am very much out of touch with YouTube. I think it's been about 3 years since I made a video, and so one of the hard things that I'm trying to train another muscle to do is to stay consistent with creating content. So I've been so busy doing apps and games and books and all that stuff. I want to talk a lot about that stuff on this channel and kind of grow this out. And so there's quite a bit of a master plan behind all of this, but there's so many things that help me understand myself when I can talk out loud and process things externally. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a like, give this channel a subscribe if you want to keep track of all the fun stuff, because I've got, like I said, book recommendations, app recommendations, podcast recommendations, all kinds of fun stuff. There's a huge explosion of AI stuff that's happening. It's so exciting that I keep up with every day. So we're going to talk about a lot on this channel, and I'd love for you to stay tuned. See you guys in the next one. Thanks.